I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity.
Speed is a genius. He's going to all these different countries getting y'all to understand that we were first, that we've been here. He asked why the nose was chopped off.
Examining Shemai's anatomy closely, the thickness of his bones and the shape of his nasal cavity, the anthropologists think he was a black African.
So African Americans are saying they are not letting this Egypt thing slide. The question that ISHOWSPEED asked about the nose disappearing from these statues, they are saying they are not allowing this to slide. They've been talking about it, still talking about it. And also I have other videos that actually confirms that these people were blacks. The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians were black, and other people are sharing their thoughts. African Americans and also other black folks are also sharing their thoughts. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go into the videos, watch, come back and talk.
But the CT scan has one more surprise for Alejandro: Shemai's ethnicity.
Well, they have just told me that Shemai had Nubian features, which means that their ruling family was probably Nubian, and that was unexpected.
Examining Shemai's anatomy closely, the thickness of his bones and the shape of his nasal cavity, the anthropologists think he was a black African, likely from neighboring Nubia. A huge revelation that challenges the prevailing image of the Egyptian ruling class.
We always thought the ancient Egyptian elite were Mediterranean type.
The archaeologist in the video is Alejandro Jimenez Serrano. He and his team found a tomb on the western bank of the Nile, opposite Aswan. And as you might have heard, the mummy was called Shemaiah. So who was Shemaiah? Not much is known about him, but the little that we know is that he was an ancient Egyptian official who later became a vizier towards the end of the 8th dynasty during the first intermediate of extreme weakness of the central power. And as you might know, ancient Egypt was in decline during the 2 intermediate periods in its history. And Mr. Jimenez Serrano just discovered that as far back as the 8th dynasty, the ruling class had Nubian features. And he finds this unexpected. That's really telling, don't you think? This discovery is obviously significant, and some of you might try to debunk. Africans are not obsessed with ancient Egypt. We just want the rest of the world to acknowledge Africa's history and give credit where credit is due. There are hundreds of African kingdoms to be explored, and ancient Egypt is just one of Africa's great past. It's not a conspiracy, but they will rather credit our achievement to aliens or label it unknown rather than give the black man its due. And when we try to dig up Africa's history, they call us Afrocentrics.
Why do white people pay so much attention to black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it? I don't pay attention to things I don't like.
What's the answer?
The answer is the liar knows what lie he told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here, I'm still going to be looking over here. Me, the one that tricked, because I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity. That's just why they chopped those noses off of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx in Egypt in the first place, is because without this nose, we can tell you this is whoever it is. But with that nigga nose, it can only be niggas. Why would somebody vandalize a whole face and only vandalize one part? Nobody wanted to knock an eye off or take an ear off or no chins missing? No, just the nose.
Africans are the indigenous people of North Africa and Middle East, not Arabs. The difference between Africans and Arabs, who call themselves Amazigh today, African people are ancient and indigenous to this world, who come from a time of spiritual unity before there was formalized religion. Fulani, Tuareg, Tubu, and other Bedouin tribes are among these African people who are indigenous to North Africa and Middle East. Thousands of years back, North Africa was green. with great lakes and great rivers, and it was perfect pastoral land. Over time, as the Ice Age melted in Europe, as the wall of Caucasus opened, the people of Magog spread around the world, using a system of trick knowledge, whitewashing of history, white supremacy, and religious dogmatism to oppress the indigenous people of the world. So Fulani, Tuareg, Tubu, and other dark Arabs and dark Berbers started migrating into West Africa and Yemen.
So, who are the ancient people of Egypt? The ancient people of Egypt are Black, Nilotic, and Sudanese people. Egypt was never the name of the land during the pharaonic periods. The first name for the land of the pharaohs you would have along the Nile Valley would be Teseti. Teseti today would be equivalent to Upper Egypt and Lower Sudan. These pharaohs wore the first crown, called the White Crown, 200 years before there was ever a pharaoh in Kemet. Kemet is the original name of Egypt, which is spelled K-M-T. And some Egyptologists, Eurocentrists, used to lie and say that this meant black soil, land of the black soil, but that was never proven in any hieroglyph ever. The word Kemet derives from the word Kemetu, which meant black face. Kemetu means black face. So Kemet would mean land of the black faces. As time goes on, you would have different kingdoms. You would have Kush Kingdom. You would also have Kemet Kingdom. But these are all the same people, Sudanese, Nilotic people that came from Teseti originally. So as time went on and we developed the first civilization ever in human history, this word spread fast along all over the world, and people from Europe and Inner Africa, everybody came here as a hub for knowledge and education. Eventually, as every kingdom comes to an end, as soon as you start going away from truth and balance and living the right way, Kemet and Kush ended up getting invaded multiple times, starting by the Assyrians. As these invasions came through, my people migrated out of Kemet and Kush into more south of Africa. The last people to invade Kemet and Kush would be the Arabs. That's how you have the people who live in Egypt today, which their DNA would be many European countries and Middle Eastern, all mixed in one, while the real ancient direct descendants of Nile Valley civilization would be in Sudan and South Sudan. Follow for more information on Nile Valley civilization.
Speed is a genius. He's going to all these different countries getting y'all to understand that we were first, that we've been here. He asked why the nose was chopped off. As much knowledge that's been pushed out, we know why the nose is chopped off. Him putting it out there for y'all to see,
Why's her nose cut off?
That's why we added recently a new layer of limestone.
Did it fall off, chat?
Everyone ask me when you just...
I need y'all to go down a rabbit hole with me real quick, okay? Everybody wants to talk about, oh, this is the ancient Egyptian, this is the ancient Egyptian. But listen to what Michael Jackson has to say about it. As you can see, this was the woman that he chose to essentially play one of the queens in his music video, Remember the Time. And the music video was based upon ancient Egypt, and every character essentially was black. Now this person in specific, though, is a Somali supermodel. Did you hear me? A Somali supermodel. Stick with me. Supposedly in ancient times, written in the walls, ancient Egyptians claimed that their ancestors came from lands like Kush and Punt. And specifically, the land of Punt is in current-day Somalia. Even Michael Jackson decided when he chose the key person to play a queen of ancient Egypt, he chose a dark-skinned Somali woman. Because that's who the fuck is depicted on the walls. And that's where the ancient Egyptian Cometians said their ancestors were from. So that was a little history lesson for you, and like a little fun fact for you. He picked that person for a reason.
ISHOWSPEED is everybody when he says, what happened to her nose? What happened to the Sphinx's nose? Go ahead and follow this page. I'm about to break something down. I have been paying attention to ISHOWSPEED's travels through Africa, and he noticed that the nose was off of the Sphinx. So what the freak happened? Go ahead and check this clip.
Wait, what happened to her nose? What happened to her nose? Why is her nose cut off? Did it fall off, chat?
Everyone ask me when you just come in here, why Sphinx is without nose? It's famous from Egypt and some countries. Who broke a nose? The history of man Makrizi from Islamic era. Write inside his book and say, a man his name Sa'im al-Dahr do this. But why? Why Sa'im al-Dahr do this? Because he won't be proof. For some people, it is just a statue, just stone, not God. For this, he just broke a nose and say he can protect himself. What he do? He just a stone.
Oh, so he was trying to prove that the statue was not a god.
Not a god.
So he broke the nose.
Man seemed to meander a bit in his explanation, so I decided to Google it to help us out. The nose is gone due to old-fashioned vandalism, y'all. The Great Sphinx of Giza lost its nose due to deliberate vandalism. Just some vandals, likely by a 14th century Sufi Muslim named Mohammed Sahim al-Dar. That's what the guy was saying, who was angered by local peasants worshiping the statue. Because listen, the statue is not a god. Do not be worshiping it. Okay. And it says, though erosion and earlier attacks also contributed. Now, apparently there is a popular myth that Napoleon's troops destroyed it is false, because sketches from before Napoleon's campaign already show the nose is missing. But y'all, you got to give ISHOWSPEED some credit, okay? Because he is asking what we're all thinking. What happened to the nose? What happened to the nose? All right, y'all, if you were to go to Egypt and you could see the Sphinx and go into the tombs and go into the pyramids, what would you ask? Let me know what you think. All right, y'all, peace. See you next time.
So this piece is one of my favourites out of ancient Egypt. This statue is of one of the Middle Kingdom's most significant rulers, Amenemhat III, who ruled for an extensive 45 plus years during the golden age of Kemet's illustrious 12th dynasty. Amenemhat's statue, carved from black granite, shows exquisite detail and is facially consistent with the dozens of detailed artworks associated with the king. He has a thick and full mouth and lips, strong cheekbones, and, as seen on another famous depiction, the most impressive representation of locked hair I perhaps have ever seen. Similar to the style donned by Djoser, his locks are based on styling thinner locks, known in the black community as sister locks, into larger jumbo locks, which are then formed back into slightly smaller jumbo locks towards the tip. He is flanked by Heru-headed staffs on either side of his head, representing the guardianship and sight on all sides. He also wears what appears to be a loosened Usek neck collar and notable false beard. One of the lesser noticed aspects of this statue is the leopard skin fro with the paw showing on the right shoulder and head on the left shoulder, a practice also reflected in their Kushite brothers to the south. Leopard skins continue to be employed as a distinction of nobility, notably amongst Proto-Bantu speaking Africans in several kingdoms, and the same was the case from the old to the new kingdom of ancient Egypt.
Have you seen when ISHOWSPEED goes to Egypt and then he starts asking questions about some of the monuments or statues? Why is their nose missing? And have you seen how edgy and how uncomfortable some of the tour guides get?
Wait, I have a question. Why is his nose gone?
It almost seems like they're trying to hide something. They're trying to keep something from getting out. What is it? Listen to some of the reasons why they say that, some of the noses are gone or there's damages to the nose of the statues.
Two reasons. The first one, because the erosion factors. This is the weakness point of the statue. Because erosion factors, it's...
Pay attention to the second reason now.
Second reason, because after this king tried to prove his nose to be the strongest.
Oh. That ain't the reason. Come on, we know what the reason is. Come on, you know what the reason is. Come on now. It's because the ancient Egyptians are black. That's why. I mean, when Muhammad ibn Sa and Amir al-As came to Egypt, they came to conquer it and to take advantage of the black people in Africa. When you say ancient Egypt, you're talking about ancient Africa. It took so long for the Greeks, the Assyrians, you name them, all of these different invasions. You're talking about 7 to 8 invasions, of people coming, or groups of people coming into Egypt, because the Nile was dependable and it was the breadbasket of the world, and the gold in the Sudan and so forth. It took them ages to finally take over the Egyptians, because the Egyptians had monuments and statues of their ancestors. They venerated their ancestors. They worshipped their ancestors like other Africans. But this secret is too much. This is the secret that keeps the world going, because you got some of these people, the Muslims, who have conquered Egypt, and they don't want the secret of the fact that at one point in time, science, mathematics, all manner of different types of education, wisdom, philosophy, all of that was being studied, was being taught by African people. This is the biggest secret, and they don't want black people to know, because if black people know, they're going to get together and form, well, a better world. And right now, the world works for the evil people, the elites who got everyone in the loop. So that's the story in the, as short as I can say it, really.
You see people like Speed, like they're very smart people, bro, and he's one of them type of guys that play fool to catch wise.
Why is her nose cut off? Did it fall off, Chad?
Everyone ask me when you just come in here why Sphinx is without nose. Is it just a statue? Just stood, not God. For this, he just broke a nose and say he can protect himself. What he do? He just stood.
Oh, so he was trying to prove that the statue was not a god.
Not a god.
So he broke the nose.
Sphinx is the one.
Like I said, bro, Speed is a smart guy, bro. Don't fall for the antics, We all know what happened to the nose, why they blew it off. This guy trying to say they cut it off to prove it wasn't a god. Now, does that even make any sense? The reason why he asked the question is just to hear the lie. Sometimes we like, sometimes when you know the answer, but you just want to ask anyway. It's like, when a girl, like a lot of girls do this, right? They will ask their man a question. They know the answer, but they just want to ask him anyway, just to see if he would tell a lie. And listen, this guy clearly told a lie. And look at Speed's face, man. Speed knows what's up. He's like, you think I'm stupid?
So at this point, are we not tired of the lies? So ISHOWSPEED went to Egypt and he was being shown all of the statues and things like that. And Darren Watkins asked this lady, why is his nose broken off? And why is a lot of the statues' noses are gone? And she came up with this crazy explanation as to why they have no noses. But we all know why their noses are broken off. Because a certain people group went over there and they did not want people to know the true history of our world and who the people were during that time. And so they hit off the noses, because noses give a complete distinction of a person's ethnicity and where they come from. So the easiest thing to do is to knock off their nose. That's why when you go to all of these historic places, you see a lot of statues with no noses. They do not want you to know in simple terms that they were black people, that they had these types of noses. They don't want you to know that. She comes up with this grand explanation as to why they did it.
ISHOWSPEED might be the most influential Pan-Africanist alive today, because not only did he go to almost every country in Africa so far and actually humanize like the people and the cultures there, but when he went to Egypt, he asked the most important question you could possibly ask, which is, why is the Sphinx missing its nose? I feel like that's one of them questions that can get you on like the craziest rabbit hole by just looking up the answer to that question. When I was in middle school, I was listening to Tupac and he had a lyric about Malcolm X and I didn't know who that was. So I looked up who is Malcolm X. So I went on the craziest like rabbit hole to this day about the Black Panther Party, the civil rights movement, like what America did to black people. That basic question that Speed asked, why is the Sphinx missing its nose? That is going to send so many people to go look up like, yo, actually, why is the Sphinx missing the nose? And people are going to say lots of statues are missing noses. It has nothing to do with any particular feature. Even if it didn't, it still ties into the overall theme of the de-Africanization, the erasing of blackness when it comes to ancient Egypt civilization or the ancient world in general. Obviously, Speed knew what he was doing when he asked that question. So that is like, I commend him for that. And that's why he might be like the most influential Pan-Africanist alive today.
Now, as we know, ISHOWSPEED was just in Egypt, right? And I'm going to be real with you. They were getting a lot of backlash. Well, North Africans were getting a lot of backlash from the African diaspora, and I'm going to explain to you why. You had a lot of comments talking about how this was a boring stream, how Egypt is not welcome into black folk, why are you even in North Africa, and a whole bunch of other critiques. A lot of black people, right, if I'm going to be honest, see the North African world as a world full of revisionist history. Due to a lot of anti-blackness that does rest up there, you have a lot of our culture and our history that isn't necessarily noticed or recognized or respected in North Africa. And for those that do respect and understand the history, trust and believe, they had to seek it outside of their own specific culture. And it's not something that's just paraded around every day in their societies. And this has been a big complaint about the Arab world for a long time. It isn't just that accepting of us as black people. A lot would say that the Arab world is extremely racist, sometimes even as racist or if not more racist than the YT societies. And I'm not looking to get into an entire debate with a bunch of Muslim Arabs from North Africa saying, no, we're nice, no, we're this, we're that, we're the third. At the end of the day, Arab culture is extremely racist, right? And while black people have tried to commingle with the cultures because a lot of them rest in Africa, we have not been accepted to do such. So when Speed's in locations like this and he's not getting the utmost respect like he was getting in East Africa, South Africa, or wherever else on the continent he's been, people see it as an immediate abort mission, right? They were saying, don't go over to Mauritania, don't go to Tunisia, don't go to Morocco. It's because of the anti-blackness in these cultures, if we're just being honest. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't the most exciting stream. I watched the entire stream, but definitely I still do enjoy the fact of him bridging gaps of division, because then maybe this could be a moment in time to where we can truly understand the true side of North Africans when it comes to their younger generation. Maybe the racism and everything like that of North Africa is that of the older generations, and maybe the newer generations are starting to become more exciting, or more accepting. I don't know, but hey, that's what I can take from the backlash I'm seeing.
So these are scientists, some of them are scientists who have actually made research into some of the bones that they even found in some of the tombs in the pyramids. Because some of them, archaeologists, they went there to do this research and got some of these bones, came and did their research about them and found out that the people, I think the DNA samples of these people, and they found out that are black. So I think we should not let it be just on the internet, we saying it on the internet and saying it. What these people did was put everything in a book. You understand? So I think the best thing as black people, what we can do, if we have all these evidences, why don't we put them together and make a book out of it, maybe movies, whatever. Let our unborn children, the youth, everyone learn about some of these histories so that it will not fade away. You understand? So that it will not fade away, because we saying these on the internet, blah 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 blah. Yes, these are videos, but these are just mirrors. And I really like the Sudanese guy that was also giving history behind all these things. And when you look at these Sudanese people, they are very tall, very 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 tall. And clearly when it comes to the people that were living in Egypt in the ancient times, they were also tall. Like if we talk about, they were very very tall. So I'm not so surprised, honestly. If you are linking certain things together, you will get an answer. You would definitely get the answer. So let's make a book. I think that's the only way, and teach our children. And or if these books are also already there, we should just get some of these books, teach our children. If possible, take it to the schools for the young ones to also learn about the African history. I think that's actually the best. Let's do this. Thank you so much for watching.